India is pulling no punches in its rivalry with China. After having set up its theater command by the Indian Ocean, New Delhi is now militarizing the Andaman and Nicobar Archipelago by the entry point of the Malacca Strait. Airfields and docking facilities are being extended and refitted to accommodate larger vehicles. There is also a plan to station additional aircraft, warships, missiles, drones, and soldiers in the vicinity. A plan that is certainly giving China some sleepless nights. So let's talk about the Indian Ocean and the evolution of the India-China rivalry. I'm your host Shirvan and welcome to Caspian Report. Today's episode is sponsored by Call of War, a free cross-platform online game where you take control over a country during World War II. The maps, troops and vehicles are all historically accurate, and your objective is to expand your territory while researching new technologies, managing resources, and building up your cities. How you reach that goal is up to you, but you'll be needing a powerful army to rewrite history, not to mention allies. The gameplay is in real time and a game round is usually played for several weeks until one player has conquered the world. So join the fight in Call of War. Click the link below to get 13,000 gold and 1 month of premium subscription for free. The offer is only available for 30 days. Home to 1.3 billion people, India is bestowed with a promising geography. The formidable Himalayan mountains to the north shield it from Chinese incursions, while the Thar Desert to the west forms a valuable buffer with hostile Pakistan. Still, India is taking no chances and maintains a large standing army at all fronts. Land power is therefore the number one priority for New Delhi. Then again, being surrounded by oceans on three sides, the Indian Navy has recently started to gain more appreciation. This has happened for several reasons. First, sea-based trade has taken precedence over land-based trade. Much of India's international trade and commerce, especially agricultural exports, is transported by sea. More than 70% by value and 90% by volume, in fact. Second, China has become more assertive over the past decade. It has secured docking rights and established ports and bases along the Indian Ocean, from Djibouti to Sri Lanka. In turn, India has had to rearrange its naval mission from the Arabian Sea, where it has traditionally sought to contain the Pakistani Navy, to the wider Indian Ocean to contain and counter Chinese incursions. Third, much of modern warfare revolves around missile deterrence. India has had an impressive success in developing a sea-based leg of its nuclear triad. Its domestically built nuclear missile submarine of the Arihant class grants India powerful second-strike nuclear options. There are only 4 other countries that have such capabilities. These 3 reasons, trade, security, and China, have reinvigorated the mandate of the Indian Navy. At least that is what the Indian leadership claims. The trouble is that to achieve its objectives in the Indian Ocean, or even to make the nuclear ballistic missile submarines operable, New Delhi still needs a large conventional fleet. This, however, is a most resource-intensive objective. To safeguard its merchant fleets in the Indian Ocean, to secure the freedom of navigation, and to deny hostile forces access, India needs about 200 surface vessels, which includes fully equipped aircraft carriers that can cover a wide range of operations. It currently has 140 warships. Still impressive, but not enough. As the 5th largest economy, India certainly has the capacity to procure such expensive ships or even expand its fleet, but India also has a lot of expenses, and the distribution of resources has proven to be complicated. The standoff with Pakistan demands much of India's resources, while there are also insurgencies within parts of India. More recently, China has been pushing the line of actual control in the high-altitude terrain of the Himalayas. These security distractions demand a lot of resources from India, so much so that the Indian Navy has the short end of the stick when it comes to the distribution of the military budget. And even when the Navy is promised more funding, the money is not always forthcoming. Currently, India is undergoing a 15-year modernization plan for its navy. It was supposed to receive an annual budget of $8.5 billion from 2015 to 2030, with the aim to increase its fleet inventory from 140 warships to 200 by 2027. That is the number of surface vessels India needs to secure its backyard from Chinese incursions. In practice, however, things have been different. For instance, in 2017, the Indian Navy received only $3 billion of the promised $8.5 billion, and much of that funding went straight to the previously signed contracts. No new purchases were made. With the way things are going, India's naval modernization policy will fail, and the Navy will be short by a few dozen ships. India will still make progress with some high-profile naval weaponry, warships, submarines, but it just cannot go head-to-head with China. It doesn't have the resources to do so. So, to make up its lack of resources, India is turning to strategic thinking. It is working closely with international partners to forge an anti-China coalition. It is strengthening its position along the fringes of the Indian Ocean, and it is seeking to build up its own influence in China's backyard, namely the South China Sea. However, India's ace in the hole might be closer to home. The Andaman and Nicobar island chain, consisting of 572 islands in total, is located by the confluence of the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea. The islands chain offers a critical vantage point on the nearby maritime traffic. In particular, the north-south configuration of the islands makes it a vital force multiplier. The local geography grants India excessive leverage. The northernmost tip of the Andaman Islands is less than 300 kilometers away from the mainland of Myanmar. Meanwhile, the southernmost tip of the Nicobar Islands is a little over 200 kilometers from Indonesia. From end to end, the island chain is well over 800 kilometers in distance, and even though the archipelago accounts for just 0.2% of India's landmass, it provides for about a third of its exclusive economic zone. Every merchant vessel passing through the Strait of Malacca must navigate through the channels located on either side of the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. With the right military and infrastructure investments, India could gain the ability to physically block the western entry point of the Malacca Strait. This would be groundbreaking. The Malacca Strait is one of the busiest maritime routes in the world. It's also the single most important point of navigation in the Indian Ocean. Of the 120,000 ships that sail through the Indian Ocean every year, about 70,000 of them pass through the Malacca Strait. In the case of China, about 80% of its hydrocarbon imports go through the strait. Thus, a series of military installations in the Andaman and Nicobar island chain would galvanize India's power projection, while at the same time undermining Chinese activities. The strategic value of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands is not lost on New Delhi. Currently, the Indian military operates a modest 7 Air Force and naval bases in the vicinity, with another 24 civilian ports at its convenience. However, with 572 islands in total, there is tremendous room to expand military operations, and that seems to be exactly what India is going for. Last year, New Delhi commissioned a military infrastructure development plan on the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. New facilities will be constructed and existing ones will be extended to accommodate larger warships, submarines, bombers, fighter jets, but also new missile batteries and contingents of troops. The infrastructure plan is deemed for completion in 10 years. Meanwhile, underneath the surface, Indian policymakers are contemplating the construction of a network of sound surveillance sensors that will stretch along the seabed from the northern tip of the archipelago to the south. This undersea wall would allow the Indians to monitor and prevent Chinese submarines from entering India's exclusive economic zone. This is big. China's large submarine fleet consists of 70 submarines, and they have been extraordinarily assertive in the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean. By setting up a seabed-based surveillance network, India would deprive China of its most prized military division. All in all, these new, powerful military properties will be employed by India's only theater command, which will operate assets and manpower from the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. This unified command is a first for India, and considering its dreary bureaucracy, it is a testament of political will. Furthermore, as India develops and militarizes its archipelago, it will have more to contribute to the quadrilateral security dialogue, which is basically an Asian NATO in the making. Policymakers from Japan, Australia, and the United States have shown great interest in collaborating with their Indian counterparts to develop and militarize the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Allied nations believe that the Indian archipelago could offer valuable repairing and replenishment facilities. Just earlier this year, the US and Indian navies conducted a joint exercise in the eastern part of the Indian Ocean. Though the exercise was relatively modest, with only basic maritime drills, the timing and location was significant. It was the first such drill that took place in the vicinity of the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. More such maritime drills, even larger ones, can be expected in the near future, likely with the involvement of Australia and Japan as well. Obviously, all these developments are troubling for China. Seen from their perspective, it is necessary to prevent India from militarizing the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. That's why Beijing has occasionally escalated tensions in the Himalayas as a means of changing New Delhi's behavior and forcing it to rearrange military funding from the Navy to its Air Force and Army. It's a strategy that seems to be working. Still, China's policy of distraction can only postpone India's militarization effort. It cannot stop it entirely. When employed properly, the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago could place India at the center of big power play. It would allow the Indians to monitor Chinese ships and submarines crossing through the Strait of Malacca and the Bay of Bengal, while at the same time granting India leverage over the well-being of the Chinese economy, since it could technically block maritime traffic. Such power projection would certainly force China to reconsider its disposition along the Indian Ocean, but that reconsideration need not necessarily be a submission. A militarized Andaman and Nicobar archipelago could backfire and ignite an arms race in the Indian Ocean and irreversibly damage relations. For now though, India is set on its militarization plan. Time will tell if this was the right call or not. I've been your host Shirvan from CaspianReport. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. That's the only way we can get through the algorithm. Thank you for watching and Sahol.